Hey guys, it is Tuesday 26th of August. It is 12:26. I am here in spirit, I think. I am absolutely dying still. I've still got a viral infection. I still feel like dung. I don't feel very well. I'm here to try and catch up on some Sharpmans, obviously because of the last couple of days I've been off. You're probably talking that was Wednesday, Friday, Saturday I was off, and now I'm back in on Tuesday trying to catch up on things. So here's what we've come into. Obviously, I have skates on the machine so far. I have a lot of skates sitting here, and Hammer has more skates here. And I'm extremely dizzy. I drove here, which I probably really shouldn't have. Felt like as soon as I turned my head, I just felt as if I was going to black out. So I already had cold sweats being in front of the machine. So we'll see how we go.
Well, that was a fun 2 hours of Sharpman. I am absolutely dying here. A slow death. I know most people will just laugh and say, why are you just not staying at home if you're not feeling well? The thing is, you've got to remember there is literally only me and Pam that run this business, with the help of obviously a few different people. And what I mean with that is they come in and they're volunteers, like Scott volunteers to help with the design work and stuff like that. Pam deals with everything. I deal with all the repairs. So since the last couple of days of me being off, it has literally been building up Sharpmans and building up repairs left, right and centre. Obviously, I'm the only person that can do the Sharpmans in the store until we get Pam trained up to sharpen, which is another thing in its own right, because we've then got to try and find time to train Pam on sharpening. She can do some of the sewing repairs, but obviously if she's got a website to rebuild and she's got all these other things to do, which I can't help with at the moment because I need training on that as well, because we've changed from website to website to website. It's one of these things, if I'm not in, we could lose the business. And I don't mean to be over dramatic with that, I'm being honest. As I always have been, if I take on well at any point, it's on my shoulders that I have to be here to be able to keep doing the sharpenings and keep things ticking over, keep the repairs going, and make sure that somebody's in the shop to keep an eye on Pam so she doesn't just randomly run away with my entire fortune, which I don't have.
Because I'm likely to do that.
Exactly. That was obviously a sarcastic comment, and the sarcastic comment's meant to everyone that thinks that because we run an ice hockey shop we've got lots of money. That's not the case at all. At times it's living from hand to mouth, especially with the way that you pay your bills, and example being summers are absolutely detrimental to our business to the point where it could absolutely murder us if we don't have enough people coming in the door through the summer and enough sales coming in through the summer. We've managed to get by this summer, and obviously with the house sale coming through as well, we will have obviously a lot more capital that we can reinvest into the store to try and make it more financially viable and have more stock. Our clothing brand will be coming back. There is talk of a automated machine of some description, which is not going to be a Sparks. I would probably suggest it's going to be an AS 2001 machine, something that can allow us the ability to do custom profiles. I think that's basically what we're looking at on the horizon. But again, that's not going to be there if I'm not here. And the reason if I'm not here and I'm not well enough to do the sharpenings, we don't have the money coming in to be able to pay the bills. So that's the reason why I'm here. Whether I'm absolutely dying or not, I need to be here, unfortunately. And this is probably the longest amount of time I've had off in the entirety of having the store. And Pam will probably back that up.
Yeah, even when you had your knee operation, I know you're going to shout at me for not looking at the screen, but I'm in the middle of doing something. Even when you had your knee operation, you had the operation on the Wednesday, and you were back in on the Friday, propped up in the chair, with your foot up like this. So this is genuinely the longest that you've had off sick. We obviously have had weeks closed here and there where we have went on holiday. That's different, but actual enforced sick time, this is the longest you've had in 13 years, 14 years that we've had the business.
So that tells you guys that it doesn't matter if I'm feeling ill or if I've got a cold or a flu or whatever else, I have to be here. And obviously, like I say, I lost quite a lot of days working. Although you guys would probably think, well, you've only had Wednesday, Friday, Saturday off, which is only like 3 days. You've also got to remember all the stuff that gets done behind the scenes. So all of the short content that gets put up on YouTube has had to take a unwarranted back step at the moment. Reason being is I just didn't have the energy or the mind capacity to be able to do any of that stuff. All of the videos that you guys were probably seeing up until recently have been scheduled. There's usually about 6 or 7 videos, like long format videos, that are scheduled in advance. All of the social media posts and stuff like that get done, I had to do them from what I would class as my deathbed. I'm still trying to keep things going as I can, but today has completely knocked 7 shades of proverbial out of me. But it's, yeah, and that's only been in the store for probably 2.5 hours doing sharpenings. I feel exceedingly sick. I feel very unwell, but I need to be here to try and catch up on things. There's a lot of stuff I still have to get done. I'm going to take you through and show you what I've got to do while I turn off the fan. So in the last video, or the previous video, there was a pair of shorts that came in, and the shorts that came in are a pair of goalie shorts, and these have to be done. Originally there was no rush on them, and because I've been off for a week and I haven't touched them, there is now a rush for them. So the padding, as we can see in the inside of the leg, has burst here and here and here. That all has to be put back in place and sewn back in place by hand, which I'm going to have to try and do. There is a pair of skates here as well that seem to be broken, but I can't really see where they're, yeah, I can see where they're broken now. As we can see, the material has actually deteriorated to the point where this actual toe box is coming off the skate, and that's all going to have to be sewn back in with a speedy stitcher. We're going to maybe have to try and put a piece of leather over the top of that to try and see if we can keep that in place. If we look at the other side as well, the other side is starting to deteriorate, and if you have a look at this side, that's deteriorating also. These skates are probably somewhere in the region of maybe 6 or 7 seasons old, but because they're 6 or 7 seasons old, the plastics that get kept in the bags, if they've been skated on and they've not been dried and they've not been looked after, eventually what happens is they deteriorate and then they start falling off of the skate. That's exactly what's happened here. As you can see, the plastic has become very brittle and it's fell off, and obviously it's ripped through the stitching, or the stitching's ripped through the plastics or the rubbers. So that's something that's going to have to be done, but I definitely don't think I've got the capacity to do that today. I'm hopefully going to try and see if I can get in early tomorrow and see if I can do this tomorrow, if I'm feeling up to it. Hopefully we try and get enough for a video out of this, but this is obviously being as real as it gets. I'm not actually doing this for dramatic effect or sympathy in any way, shape or form. I'm doing this to be as real as possible, like this channel has always said that we would be. If I am unwell in any way, shape or form, things don't get done. Unfortunately, there's things that Pam can't do and there's things that Pam can do, and Pam's obviously keeping the business running from the aspect of orders and the books and the website. She's doing all of that well, even though there was times when we were closed a couple of days last week. Pam was obviously working on the website from home. She was doing her stuff as well, and obviously when Pam doesn't feel well, she has fatigue things going on as well. There's times where she just has to lie down and she has to sleep it off as much as she can as well. Obviously this is the first time this has kind of happened to me. I've never really had a post-viral fatigue or a viral fatigue. Everything I've usually had before has been, I've just kept going, pushed through. But this time my body's just said to me enough's enough and I have to sit down to it. I'm going to try and get some more work done and then we'll see where we're up to. So after a good 20 minutes fighting with these shorts to try and get them to turn inside out, which has knocked whatever energy I had away, in the process now I've tried to sew them back together by hand. I usually would have used the speedy stitcher for this, but unfortunately I can't because it's too aggressive. What I mean is it's too aggressive in the sense that the needle's too thick, so I have to use a slightly thinner needle and I have to use a more thinner thread as well. So as we can see, this part here has obviously all been burst and it's now been sewn back into place up to a certain point. Now we have the unfortunate part of the material has frayed here. So even if I do start to sew that back in place onto this other piece of material which is also fraying, what we're going to get is it's only going to last a certain amount of time and then it's just going to burst all the way back through. So what I'm going to try and plan to do is I've cut a piece of material that I was given, which is this kind of, it's the same kind of material as the shorts. This obviously goes in the inside, this part goes in the outside, and I'm going to have to try and sew that piece onto both sides. So I'm going to try and have to put it under the frayed part and sew it in under the frayed part, then loop it round onto this part here. That's just the first part of these shorts. The second part of these shorts is it's exactly the same on the other side but not as bad, and then the other side up here is completely damaged as well, so I'm going to have to try and sew something onto the netting as well to try and get it back on here. The netting has obviously already been burst, and I think the reason why it's already been burst is there's a couple of areas in these shorts where it looks like the goalie in question is putting your skates on first and then putting your skates on through the shorts, which is in turn cutting the inside of the shorts and busting them wide open. We see that there's obviously a big gash in the padding here, which I'm going to have to try and sew back together. And then obviously this part is all burst. And it looks as if it's been skate damage that's done this. Now, 9 times out of 10, most players, what they'll do is they'll put their pants on first, or their shorts, and then they'll put their skates on. But there is some of the goalies out there that they prefer to put their skates on first because they can bend over a wee bit more better, a wee bit more accessible to try and get their skates on and then put them on. I would advise, if you can't get down to do your skates, use skate hooks to be able to help you. It gives you an extra couple of inches on your pull to be able to get there. But that's just me, that's my way of looking at it. We have changing rooms in Kilmarnock where when we sit on the benches, they're the right height for me, but I struggle to then reach down to tie my laces, where there's the smaller players, their legs are dangling off the benches and they have to go and sit in smaller benches to be able to reach their skates. It just depends obviously where you're getting changed and what you're doing, but I know I'm probably rabbiting on a little bit here, being the first time I've been in camera in a couple of days, but that's my pet peeve, is when you see people put their skates on first and then put them through their shorts. If that's the case, get a set of soakers, put the soakers on first, then put them on, and then hopefully you won't cut the inside of your shorts. So, quick update, there we go, it has been sewn into place so far, it's just roughly sewn in. I originally thought that the Speedy Stitcher was going to be too aggressive for it. I don't think it's going to be too aggressive. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go over it again. I wanted to hold it in place with a kind of guide stitch, and then I was going to do it with the Speedy Stitcher. I think I'm just not going to bother doing a guide stitch on the other sides because the other sides aren't really that bad. The materials that are round about it are good enough that I'm going to be able to get it to go through, and it shouldn't do any more damage with the Speedy Stitcher. So that's the plan. I'm going to just hit it with the Speedy Stitcher and then get it done, and I'll come back to you once that's finished. So that's us finished, or that's me finished all of the sewing on these shorts. So we've got this whole area which has been re-sewn in. Obviously there is a little bit of thread that's still holding that together. That is originally meant to all be on this side, but because of the way it is situated, it would break if I actually sewed it all together again. This part is all sewed back in with the extra piece of material, and the final part, which I did with the Speedy Stitcher, has all been sewn back into place up here as well, as you can see. So that's the shorts now ready to go back to the customer. All I'm going to do now is turn them back inside, outside in, because they were inside out, to get the sewing work done on them, which will probably take about 4 hours to do because I am absolutely sharp for the last time trying to do it. Let's see if they last. If they last, then fair enough. If not, they'll probably be back in to do some more repair work, and I'll show you if that's the case. So it is 6:35. As we can see, I've been trying to catch up on a little bit of editing. I've managed to give myself a little bit of a rest from actually having to do any proper physical work. Just sat in front of the computer and clicked a couple of buttons just to try and catch up on some stuff. I managed to get 2 videos done today. One from the stuff that Pamela shot on Saturday at the weekend, and then obviously one more or less finished from today's work, what I've done. Obviously not showing you any time lapses on any of the actual work I'm doing because it has taken me a long time to do anything today. I'm just about to try and get myself down the road. The reason why I waited a little bit longer in the store tonight is because I was waiting for traffic to be a little bit more quiet so I can drive home. I still feel a bit off, so I'm going to take my time and obviously drive home very safely, as safely as I can, and then obviously get to my bed because tomorrow is going to be another long day. I think today has been an excessively long day for me, considering the fact that I've been more or less sleeping nearly 18 hours a day, and obviously had to come into the store today to try and catch up on some things. I have unfortunately had a look at these skates and I've seen that they are in a lot worse shape than I thought. I put a new eyelet on the top thinking that they was going to be able to be sewn back together. This part can be sewn back together, but as you can see, that's split here. There is a major issue though. There is a split underneath this part here which I am unable to fix. The only way I can fix that, or try to fix that, is by putting some resin on it and hoping for the best. The other option that I have is I have cut some ballistic nylon, which you would find in shorts like the belt material. I actually buy that in bulk, so I've got a roll of it here. What we can use that for is if we actually place that into position and then use some resin from the carbon fibre stuff that we use, that may be able to be enough to try and make that stiff enough. The problem I also have is I'm going to have to try and sew over the crack in the skate. So what I mean with that is there is a crack that is just in this part here, but I can't sew through the carbon fibre to try and sew that on the ballistic nylon onto it. So I'm going to have to try and go away and think of another way to try and fix the skate. The other unfortunate thing is I may have to try and pry the footbed off to try and put a piece of ballistic nylon in underneath that part and then glue that in place, and then glue the other part of the ballistic nylon over the top of that material to try and make it rigid. Now the problem that I have with that is it's not necessarily the most economical repair. That's going to take a long time to do, and if it's going to take a long time to do, the skates may well as just be finished with. I know that sounds as if it's a bit defeatist, and usually I'm really up positive for trying to fix things, but these don't look as if they're in a great shape. They are a very old skate now in comparison to what's out on the market. They're a very, very soft skate. As you can see, they've already been pressed. They've got a little bit of creasing in this area here as well. If you look at the other side, the plastics and the rubbers that are actually on them are deteriorating also. And if you have a look at this side here, you can see that the plastic and rubber is more or less gone, and the eyelet is more or less gone. So it is more or less a time for this player to possibly look for an upgrade, unfortunately. Now the skate itself is actually not too bad, and I suppose if we had one of the kind of really heavy duty stitching machines, we might be able to do a little bit more stitching work just to be able to pull everything back together. Problem is we don't have that, so we're having to do it with a speedy stitcher, or we're having to do everything by hand. I don't even think a cobblers would be able to help with them. But anyway, we'll have another look at them tomorrow when we come back into the store. So for tonight, that's me finished. I'll see you again tomorrow at 5 PM. So happening, guys, it is Wednesday the 27th of August. It is 5:51. We have a surprise guest tonight, and it is the one and only Toby Craig. He has brought himself in for a heat mould tonight and to get some maintenance done on his hockey helmet. So what happened at the weekend was he was in the middle of a game and his visor broke, and he had to get the equipment manager from the local team to fit a new visor. Unfortunately, the equipment manager, unknown to him, has broken his helmet. So there is obviously a piece of plastic that's meant to go into this part of the helmet that holds the screws in place. That has been broken off and the helmet is now broke. There is another side of the helmet here which has been also broken, but it's not as bad. There is a piece actually missing from that part there. That's obviously meant to go over the top of it. If you actually look at the screws that are in the helmet as well, the screws are actually the wrong size of screws, and as you can see, this part has actually came off all completely because whoever's been doing the job on it previously has broken it and tried to kind of fix it in a hurry, and it's not really worked. Obviously he had to get it fixed because Toby was still in the middle of a game. I think it was only the first period when that broke. So I've got to try and see if I can come up with a method of fixing that helmet. I'm also going to have to change the screws to make sure that they're the right size screws for the visor. He's also brought me in his Warrior kit that he has been gifted from the Elite League. So as we can see, he's got his Warrior dry fit top. He's obviously got his big jacket as well, his Warrior jacket. He's got some sweats and tracksuits as well. They've also given him a brand new Warrior visor, as we can see, and they've also brought us in a Alpha 1 Pro helmet. Now the Alpha 1 Pro helmets were excessively big. Now I tried a large one when they first came out, and what I found was I basically looked like a Lego man because they're very, very big, very cumbersome, and they've got a lot of protection in them, and that's not a bad thing. It's good to have a lot of protection on a helmet. What we're going to have to do is try and see if we can get that fitted together tonight for him, get his backup helmet fixed, and see if there's another helmet in the store for him that you can use as a backup of a backup. Now the reason why I'm saying a backup of a backup is when you look at this helmet here, this is one of it's actually a CCM helmet, believe it or not, but it's got Warrior badging on it because they're not allowed to technically wear anything but Warrior. Toby never got his helmet last year, and this is the one that he ended up having to use for the season. So what we're actually going to have to try and see if we can do is fix it to get it so that he can continue to use it. Now, he's got one of these massive heads, and because he's got a massive head, this helmet here, because he's got a massive head, he has to use a style of helmet, and the reason why he has to use that is because there's not very many that give enough adjustment to be able to fit his head. Now that's not me taking the rip out of him in any way, shape or form, that's me just being honest. The helmet size is obviously large, but in the older helmets he would have had to have went for an XL, because I think he's kind of on the border of 50, 60, 58 centimetres, which means it is very, very big. So anyway, I'll see if I can get this fixed. This is the first job on the agenda. The second job on the agenda is obviously try to get his skates heat moulded, and then I'm going to try and see if I can get the other helmet done. So I'll go and get myself on the go and see.
Well, folks, it is Wednesday night. It is now about the back of 7, which is after 7 p.m. And Stephen is about surviving. He's had somewhere in the region of about 20-25 sharpeners in tonight, and we had Toby over to have his 5,000 different helmets adjusted and fixed, which has been done. And Stephen has calmed down a little. We have cleared the floor. The floor wasn't cleared before, so you can see the wood in the background for all the renovations that we haven't quite got to yet. Life is very, very, very hectic just now, so we apologise that we aren't as on top of the YouTubing as we would normally be, but he is working his way through the last of the sharpenings for this evening. The last 2 pairs on the floor by the door. And then he should maybe get to sit down before he falls down, because he's still not feeling very well.
So that is the end of the shift. It is 8:43 right this very second, and I have been in probably from about 5:05 tonight. I've been on that escape machine the entire night, which is really, really good for business. As long as that machine's on, you've got money coming in the door, realistically. We had obviously quite a lot of sharpenings. When I walked in the door tonight, I think there was about 5 sharpenings in, and then Toby came in for his heat mould. And I managed to just have time to do his heat mould and then come back through, and he had 3 helmets that I had to try and fix and get sorted for him. He's getting no patience whatsoever, which obviously shows when he's refereeing. Because when I tried to do his work tonight, he wouldn't give me peace. He could see the sharpenings were all the way at the door, and he was more interested in getting his stuff done so he could get down the road to watch Rangers play tonight.
Oh, is that why he was antsy?
Yeah, he was very, very antsy. He wanted to make sure that he had all his stuff done before Friday. He's got an Elite League game on Friday. The clan have got a pre-season friendly, and he's refereeing it. What I tried to explain at the start of the video for tonight, the visor that we had fitted on his helmet, I don't know what it is he does. He goes through about 6 or 7 visors a year, or Toby. And what basically happened was his visor cracked and split and was hanging off the helmet, and he had to come off the game and ask the home team to fit a new visor. Now, the way that the league structure is if he has anything that's broken, if he has a broken steel, if he has a broken visor, he needs any work done, the home team is het for doing the work for him. So he asked the home team to change the visor on his helmet. The guy who is a new equipment manager broke his helmet by taking the flaps off the inside of the helmet. Now, it's very, very fragile, this helmet. It has in the inside at the temple guard, basically if you open it up, there's a piece of plastic that hinges and opens. The guy had ripped that clean off the helmet on both sides, and that's what holds it onto the inside of the actual temple guard, the plastic piece. So the temple guards were just kind of floating about, not doing anything. The screws that he had originally put into the helmet were way too long, so if he had a side impact, although there is quite a lot of padding at the side of the head, the screw could have literally hit him in the temple and it could have been game over. So the screws were way too long. Now, I understand that people have to learn, and I'm not knocking the new guy, whoever he was. You need to have this stuff on point, because that could be the difference between a fatal injury and not a non-fatal injury. Everybody seems to think that I like to slag off all of these equipment managers. I don't like to slag them off. I just like to try and make them aware of the issues that they could be causing in the future by doing things wrong. Everybody has to learn, and everyone is going to make mistakes, but that to me was a big mistake. One mistake he had made was obviously broke the inside of the helmet, and 2, he'd used screws that were too long. He'd also fitted the visor in a wrong orientation. What that basically means is the visor was way too close to the helmet. I understand that most people, when they fit a visor, they don't want it sitting too far out for their face just in case a stick will go under it, but with Toby's size of head and his size of nose, he has to have the visor sitting as far forward as possible. So that's the first thing that happens with that one.
The chin strap has to be just
right.
right.
The chin strap has to be about 6 foot long, because what he does is he puts the chin strap on and tapes the chin strap so that he can take the helmet on and off without having to take the chin strap off or undo the chin strap.
So that's number one problem with his CCM helmet, which was branded as a Warrior helmet, and there's the reason for that is obviously the Elite League referees are sponsored by Warrior, but the helmet that he got last year was broken. That's what he was telling me. It was broken and they didn't get a replacement to him in time. We decided to get him another helmet, and the only helmet that would fit him was a CCM 910 large because of the size of his head. Now, this is where Toby, you can tell he's had everything done for him in his life when it comes to hockey equipment, and I don't mean this out of any disrespect for him. He put the helmet on straight away and says, this is way too tight, without adjusting it. So we had to press the buttons at the side, open the flaps, pull the helmet, put the helmet back on.
It was too big when he first put it on.
And then put it on, clipped it into place, and he's like, that's perfect, that feels so much better, that's it, it's perfect. At this point, I've got skates coming out my ears.
25 pairs of skates waiting for sharp.
Toby then turns around and says to me, you need to hurry up, big man, I've got to go up the road to watch the football. So I'm looking at this helmet, and I've got to try and swap the visor off the broken helmet and to put onto the new helmet, and then he's also got a brand new Warrior Alpha LX Pro or Alpha Pro helmet, or 1 Pro, sorry, and he's got a brand new visor that has to be fitted in that as well. Now, Toby can't have the helmet as it sits, it has to be modified in every way, shape and form.
You've been your bonnet tonight, darling.
I have, because it really annoyed me because I was so busy. And I don't feel well still, obviously. So I'm busy saying about Toby having bad patience. My patience was non-existent at this point. So what I've ended up having to do is I've asked Pamela to come through because Toby started trying to take the helmet apart with a flat screwdriver, which it needs a scar. And I'm like, he's going to cause himself a mischief here. He's going to hurt himself. I could see his smoke coming out his ears because he couldn't work it out. So I'm busy saying to him, just wait the now. So I ended up having to stop what I was doing with the sharpening machine and walk over and take the screwdriver off of him just before he hurt himself. I then started taking the screws out the helmet to fit the visor, and the first thing he said is you need to take the ear defenders out. I says, you know how to take them out, Toby? No. I says, come on, I'll show you. So I took them out. He's too busy talking. He's not paying any attention. So while this time he's having this conversation with me, I've fitted the brand new visor on the Warrior helmet. So it's a Warrior helmet and a Warrior visor. That is now ready for him to go for Friday night.
He's got his new bloody sponsored CCM.
His new CCM helmet, which will obviously need to be rebranded because of the size of his head, with the Warrior logos and stuff like that. As a backup, we'll have to have a visor fitted to it because the other visor, instead of bringing me the visor that I gave him the last time as an emergency visor, he left at home. He then wanted me to try and fix the helmet that was broken, to which I ended up having to glue it all back together and fix the screws so that he could then use that on Friday just in case. Now the problem is he's left without that helmet. So as you can see that at this point there's steam coming out my ears, I've got sharpenings up to my eyes, I'm still feeling faint, I'm still feeling dizzy, I've got no energy whatsoever, and I'm managing to look, and every time I look round, Pamela's bringing another pair of skates through, and another pair of skates through, and 3 pairs of skates at the one time, and 4 pairs of skates, and spare steels. And this is where I have to say that when you're one person sharpening and you're good at what you do, this is why I'm good at what I do. You can see how many people come in. If we say that we have 15 sharpenings within an hour at any given time, it's because people like what we do. It's not because we're the only place round about the surrounding area that can do what I do. There is other places that can do it, but again, I'm not being big-headed. They don't do it as well as me with as much technique as what I've got and glide. Any sharpening that you ask me to give you,
while we wait.
Any sharpening that you come in and request, you will get at that time. It's not a case of, say for example, you have 13 3/8 and 1 5/8 comes in and you get 13 3/8 to get through. If that 5/8 is at the start of the queue, that 5/8 will get done as a 5/8 and everything else will get done afterwards. We're not one of these shops that will only sharpen on one grind. We do multiple grinds at multiple times. So it could be a 5/8, a 3/8, a half inch, a quarter, all coming in, every single one of them, 4 different sharpenings, one after the other, and they'll be done.
If they all come at the one time, so if we get if a door opens at 12 and in walks 12 people with 20 different sharpenings, because they've all come in at the one time, we do try to band them in sharpenings just so that we're not, dressing the disc from a half inch up to a quarter, back down to a 5/8. We do try and band them together so we're not dressing the stone too much, but we still wouldn't keep somebody waiting.
As I say, like I've just literally said there just now that what I'll do is if someone comes in with a half and then it's a 3/8 and then it's back to a half, I'll do that if that's in the queue of Sharpmans. Now, what Pam was saying is we try and band them together in the excessively busy times, but that always doesn't necessarily work as well. So tonight we had about 15 Sharpmans, and there was a customer come in and he had said he couldn't wait any longer and was going to take his skates away. What I then did was redress the stone and done their skates straight away to allow them the access to get their skates sharpened, because they couldn't get back till next week and it was unfair for them to have to wait so long. Our customers are quite good in that sense that they're quite happy to wait. Most of the customers are quite happy to wait for their skate sharpenings because they're done at such a high standard. And other people will understand if there's people in a hurry that need to jump the queue. Now, that's only a very, very rare occasion, and I understand that people would be annoyed or miffed at that, but it's just what we do. We try and make it as customer friendly as possible. We had that to get done, and then we had quite a few people in to get their skates done who were friends as well. So we had Tony in, we had Liam in, we had David in, we had Ruth and Michelle back in. Michelle was in to get her skates done, and Ruth done her skates with my little bit of staff training that I had to give her for the levels and stuff like that. And when she'd done them perfect. That girl is brilliant at Sharpman, and if we could afford to have her here full time, we would have her in a heartbeat, because she can rival me any day of the week with the sharpenings.
And we have to have Michelle.
And we have to have Michelle as well. But
she is my work wife.
And Ruth is my work wife apparently.
She's like, I need to go and say goodbye to my husband. I was like, on you go.
We had a very, very busy night with that. We didn't really get much else done. I was hoping to try and get some recording done of fixing the helmets. I was also trying to get some recording done of fixing other skates that had come in, but I never got anywhere near the skates. Pamela was way too busy to pick up the camera and way too busy to record anything tonight. So this is probably going to be the end of the video for this one, and hopefully we'll be back to some sort of normality as of the next video. The reason why I say the next video, by the time you see this video, it'll be more or less the week of or the week after that we move house. By that point you should see a lot more interesting content with orders that are due, orders that are coming in, reviews of new equipment, new models, new reviews of entry-level kit also. There is lots coming, and you just need to bear with us. And if you like what you see on the content, please like, share and subscribe, because it does help the channel. We will obviously be looking at bringing our clothing back, and if you want to support Cold Blooded Sports in any way, shape or form, or you want to support the channel, you can obviously maybe consider buying something from the merchandise, whether it's a hat, t-shirt, hoodie, shorts, joggies, whatever else. If you like what you see, obviously help us out by maybe considering buying something from the channel. You would have to go to our website, which is coldbloodedsports.com. We are not making anything from YouTube, we're just documenting what we do and showing people how we do it in Scotland. It might be totally different from the way that you do things over in America and Canada. It's just because we're self-taught. We've never had that opportunity to be taught from the best over in America and Canada. I have been taught with regards to Blade Master stuff. I did go on a Blade Master course, but I'd already been sharpening for about 7 years before I did that.
It was just to get a certificate.
It was just to have the certificate and tick a box, if I'm honest.
Anyway. I mean, I think even we do it differently to even the east coast of Scotland does it differently. Everybody does things the way that suits them, and we've had a lot of years and a lot of experience, and yes, we've done things the right way, and yes, we've done things the wrong way, and we've had a lot to contend with, but we're really, really excited and positive about what's on the horizon. Lots of new stuff coming, and it's really good to see when you see the likes of Ruth and Michelle who've been away from hockey and coming back. You see all the faces starting to come in. Tonight felt like the first night of the season starting. Yeah. It was busy, it was bustling, it was people coming and going, and we are a wee bit behind on where we wanted to be with the plans of the place. Hopefully we'll get some stuff done over the weekend. The problem is because it hasn't been quiet enough for it allow us to do anything during the day when we're here, and we're still battling against websites and admin and all that stuff. It means we're going to have to take time out of the moving schedule to try and come in on days closed, like Sundays, or stay late on Saturdays.
And this is something else that you guys don't understand as well, is obviously I play and I coach, and we run the Mustangs. I am now the chairman and Pamela is the the treasurer of the Mustangs. But not only that, Sam has his first game at the weekend. He'll be playing in his first cross heights tournament, which is brilliant to see. It's long overdue, and the reason why I say long overdue, we had Sam on the ice at 2-year-old, and he was skating more or less on his own. But what happened was we obviously got shut down. We know the dreaded lockdowns and stuff like that, and he missed out on so much time. Now you look at it, when he gets to about 5 or 6 years old, he's been doing skating lessons, and he's been back at the Clan Academy for the last season. He was down at Lanarkshire Lightning as well for a little while, but because of the store, it scuppered his training, which is obviously something that we don't want to see happen. We don't want to have to put the store first and then stop him from being able to play. So we had to move him to somewhere that was more attainable for us and for him. So that's why he's at the Clan Academy at the moment, because realistically Monday night at 6 o'clock is ideal time for him to be able to go on and skate for an hour and 15 minutes, and then on a Saturday or a Sunday he'll be skating and playing. He's obviously going to be training on a Saturday morning, which means that the way that we've got the shop structured at the moment with times, it works out perfectly for him to get on at Braehead, do his training session, and then get dropped off at his gran's, and then obviously we can come back to the store and do what we do.
His gran's will be his own house as well, so it'll be our house. It'll be the family home, so he'll get dropped off, he can have his own shower, he's got his own stuff there, and then we can come along.
I did see a comment a couple of weeks ago, and I did mean to address this. What I said in a comment was that when we move into Pam's mum's and we purchase half of Pam's mum's house, obviously one, to make things easier for us, and for specifically it's for Pam's mum. Pam's mum had a spinal fusion surgery and she might have to go for another one at another point, and she needs help round about the house. So for us moving in, we're taking on not necessarily that burden, but we're taking that on as well as the store. What I had originally said is it will make life easier for us and we might actually have a life back. What I mean with that is someone jumped on that thinking that I was being derogatory towards saying that Pam's mum's not well and then we're going to lump her with watching her grandkids. That's not what we're meaning. What we're meaning is it's going to give everybody a little bit more life back. Her mum specifically, she's going to have company there that she can talk to people. Not that she doesn't go out and talk to people, she's got her friends, but she doesn't go out often because of the pain that she's in. She's obviously got ME as well, so we are there to obviously be a support network for her. And when she's obviously been one of the people that's the leaders in us moving in with her, because it's changed her attitude in life completely. She didn't want to be here, and now she's in a situation where she's quite happy. She's beaming with happiness because her family's going to be around her.
She still has her, she's still in horrific pain every single day. Every day's a blessing. Every day she knows, it's silly things like she said today, I put the bins out last night and I struggled to bring them in. I says, well, that's one thing you don't need to worry about now. Once we move in, we'll be putting the bins out. Once we move in, we'll go and get the shopping. Once we move in, we'll be hoovering the carpet. We'll be cleaning the bathroom. Yeah. These things that she now will no longer be needing to do. If she wants to do them, that's up to her, but she'll not be responsible for having to try and keep that clean, because we're already doing it at our house. We're going to be doing it at what will now be our house, so she doesn't have to do it. So we've saved her spending what precious energy and pain-free time she has on other things, and she's already expressed that she'll be able to spend time reading with the kids and sitting with the kids and talking to the kids and doing things with the kids, doing things with us. Also, she's also expressed it on a Friday night, if the kids are in their bed, it's 9 o'clock, they're up watching a movie, they're in their bed, they're in their pyjamas, she's going to be going to her bed at 10 o'clock. Why don't you head down and get a last drink? Why don't you go and get something to eat? Why don't you go and catch a film? That's what we meant by a little bit of time back. We're not asking somebody to leave their own house, to drive over the town in the dark, to sit in our house where they're uncomfortable, to watch our children where we're watching the clock, to come in after a film, to then have to get her home. She's in her own house. The kids are upstairs in their own bed. There's an adult there. All we're going to maybe do is wander down and have a drink, or wander down and have a meal, or drive over to the local cinema that's 5 minutes away. We're not going to be dumping our kids on her. She gets more quality time with us. She gets more quality time with the kids. Christmas, for example, She'll wake up with her grandchildren and they'll be there. She'll watch them opening the presents.
Not that I'm trying to pick on Pam and tell her to kind of wind it up a little bit here, but one of the things I'm going to say is very, it just shows the nature of some people that pick up on the negative on these things, and it's not about negativity in this, it's about being positive. It's a positive new start for Pamela, myself, Pam's mum and the kids and the dogs and the cat that is probably going to be
going to packing up and moving out, I think.
But anyway, we've rabbited on for way too long now, so just to give you a little bit of a life update as well as a Toby Craig update. So
you rabbited more than we did.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, if you like what you see, like, share and subscribe, and we can catch you on the next video. Keep it cold-blooded.